surprising show. If you haven't heard already, there's some stories out there in regards to the musician Drake, who I've exposed many times on this channel. And it's pretty bizarre, to say the least, that Drake, I guess, was caught in a sense because this girl, this 14-year-old girl, who is on the TV show, or the Netflix series, I should say, Stranger Things, admitted on a runway for some, ridiculous Hollywood production that her and Drake text each other all the time, and that he just texted her how much he misses her and how he gives her advice on dating. Drake is in his 30s. This girl is 14. Listen for yourself, and then we'll talk about it.
I love him. I met him in Australia, and he's honestly so fantastic and a great friend and a great role model. We just texted each other the other day, and he was like, "I miss you so much." I was like, "I miss you more." He's coming to Atlanta, so I'm definitely gonna go and see him. I'm so excited.
Advice does he give you? Like, what does he say?
About boys, he helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
Advice for boys.
That stays in the text messages.
So, what's important to realize is you can't make accusations against people, because that's really what they want to do sometimes when they bait people. But at the same time, things like this come out because a 14-year-old girl, even though she's highly likely under MK Ultra, she's on a show that talks about MK Ultra mind control programming. She's on a show on Stranger Things, which must be a coincidence as well, where other cast member, another kid on the show, admitted to being sexually abused by some Hollywood agent. I mean, it's everywhere. This stuff is rampant. It's all over the place. But let's just talk about human behavior, right? Studying human behavior and watching the behavior of people is something that people need to do more often, but they don't. If this was a story that came out, or if this was your daughter who was 14, and say a teacher, say a friend, a family friend, was texting, right, your daughter who was 14, and he was in his 30s, people would go, ew, oh, that's disgusting, oh, he's so sick, oh, arrest him, oh, call the police, right? The guy would probably end up with a black eye. But because this is Hollywood, right, all these stories that come out are, oh, this isn't weird, this isn't creepy, let them be, leave them alone. And that's how they desensitize people and normalize this type of activity, right? But in reality, these same people who are defending these false idols, because the only reason anyone's defending them is because they're celebrities. So, those of us who would say this is weird behavior, they say, oh, your mind's in a gutter. Oh, you're the one thinking about that. You guys are the ones who have that kind of crap on your mind. Meanwhile, if it happened to them in their life with just some regular person, they'd be in an uproar over it. They would call the police, right? You got a 14-year-old son or a 14-year-old daughter, and you got a grown man who's texting, talking about dating other boys. I mean, it sounds like an AOL chat room, these conversations. It's disturbing. It's creepy. Now, this is how Hollywood works, right? Drake, but you can see some of these photographs, Bagel Man Drake. A lot of people like to think that Drake is this hard, tough guy, and oh yeah, Drake gets all these girls and things like that. It's the opposite of what you see. Drake is another one of these people who grew up in Hollywood, was in Hollywood at a young age, became famous, became this big musician, right? And now is likely on the other side of the fence. He was probably one of those people who was abused and now is a groomer. And that's what people are talking about. They're saying this is kind of weird behavior. That's one of the good things that has come out of all this stuff recently, because I've been pushing for years, trying to get people to realize what's going on in Hollywood, what's going on around the world, about black magic, about Crowley, about his teachings, about how this stuff is all connected. Obviously, in a lot of these stories, it's annoying because we never hear about the satanic side of it. Everyone thinks that these are just isolated creeps, but story by story, this keeps coming out where these celebrities are involved in this stuff. People just don't believe in black magic and witchcraft and any of those types of things. But that's what this stuff all relates to. And that's why a lot of these kids in Hollywood end up being abused, and then as they grow older, they become the opposite, right? They become the groomer, and they do the abusing. So what people should be asking themselves when they see this is that they should be separating from going, Drake's a big star and she's a star, so they have that in common, so it's not a big deal for them to text each other. And they should say to themselves, is this normal human behavior? Would you, as somebody in your 30s, be texting a 14-year-old girl? I don't care if it's your best friend's daughter and she goes, please, would you text and call? You would say, no, that's a little weird. That's a little strange. And I'm sure her father would say the same thing. So yeah, this is strange and creepy, but it's not a surprise, is it? Right? I mean, I miss you. Oh, I miss you so much. I mean, people don't even say that to their own family members. Right? That's the kind of talk you only say to your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Oh, I miss you. Oh, I miss you so much more. That's like puppy love talk. And then, of course, you get, oh, and he gives me advice on dating. Right? I mean, I'm sure Drake knows a lot about teenage boys, if you catch my drift, but he's texting her about teenage boys and giving dating advice when he's in his 30s, spending his spare time, which, a lot of these people don't have a lot of spare time because they're always doing something, because that's part of being one of these false idols. They always have to go somewhere, do something, push some agenda, right? Perform, make money so they can kick it back to their handlers. But he's making the time to text a 14-year-old girl. No one finds that strange. I mean, boy, making excuses. Look at some of these articles out there. Millie Bobby Brown defends Drake friendship. She says, you guys are weird. So the girl is saying that everybody else out there, and that's because she's likely a victim in this, which is the way that it goes, right? So she doesn't even see it as wrong or creepy or weird. It's just normal, because most of these kids who are put under MK Ultra and trauma-based mind control that are abused, they don't understand right from wrong until they're older, and even then they don't. They end up becoming the abuser, right? So she says, why you gotta make a lovely friendship your headline, she wrote on Instagram. You guys are weird for real. Okay. I mean, anybody need to, look at some of the pictures, He's like hanging out, he's smiling, hanging out with a kid. I mean, just, this isn't normal, right? But people just constantly go, well, it's Hollywood. They're a little bit weirder. They're a little different out there. Oh, yeah? Little do these people know how weird and different they are. If you want to define satanic as weird, or you want to just, face the facts that these people are devil worshippers who perform black magic rituals that involve, cannibalism, children, human sacrifice, you name it. Right? Then you get some other ones out there like, just oblivious people, right? Why are people creeped out by Drake's text to Millie Bobby Brown? Right? Why are people creeped out? I don't know. Here's one guess, I'm just throwing this out there. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe it's just because he's in his 30s and she's 14. I don't know, But obviously this stuff's becoming normalized, right? Everybody's defending Drake. And I'm not going to take the story and say, oh, did this or he's doing that. We all know who all these people are in Hollywood and what they're all about, right? They all go through the same thing. They all become child stars. Nobody asks questions about how they become famous. Oh, yeah, just, 10-year-olds are just auditioning in Hollywood and getting gigs. And then when they're in their 20s and 30s, they're these mega stars, right? Like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake. Oh, they're just so talented. I mean, give me a break. But the masses out there buy this stuff. It's a never-ending cycle. They put these kids through trauma-based mind control. These kids are groomed. Then these kids become the groomers, right? And they become big, rich, famous. They have influence over the masses. They have influence the people who liked them when they were kids. And now that they're adults, they have the same audience, and they can, start talking about politics, different things, and sex. It's easy to figure out when you just, see the same pattern, right? The same formula with all of them. Oh, they all just happen to be so much more talented than regular people. Drake was just such a great actor at 12, and now he's a great rapper. And Justin Timberlake was a great actor, and then he became a great singer. Then he became an actor again, and a singer, right? Ryan Gosling. I mean, all these kids who go through the Disney programs and the Nickelodeon programs. So, it's not hard to figure out or connect the dots, but obviously you have to be careful of what you say and accusations you make. So I'm not making any accusations. I know that everybody in Hollywood is involved in this stuff. You, the listener, know that already. You're awake to it. Nobody's slipping through the cracks here. It's just a matter of, you have to be careful of how you word certain things. But when stuff like this comes out, whether they deliberately want it out or, that's something that just happens. Like she slips and says something like that, and then people see it and it goes viral because in today's world, if somebody messes up, it's going to get caught for the most part, right? So then they have to do damage control and say that the people who are, suggesting that something could be going on, are the real sick people, the ones with their, their heads in the toilet because they're thinking like that. Oh, right. Like I said 20 times already. Because it's normal for 30-year-old men to text 14-year-old girls, tell them how much they miss them, and to give them dating advice. I mean, give me an absolute break. How disgusting can it get? I thank you for listening to today's show. Just more sickening stuff in today's world. God bless all of you and your families.